Hi friends, this is Barb Pask. I'm excited about what I'm going to do tonight. I'm going to paint a nocturne, which is a nighttime scene. Throughout the quarantine, trying to think of the name of it, Streamline Videos has been coming on Facebook every day, and maybe if you're an artist you've watched some of them, and they show a piece of a DVD that they sell, a sampling, and then they offer a discount and you can go purchase it, which I have bought one. And the one that they showed the other day got me really fired up. It's called Nocturnes. It's by Carl Bretzke, Bretzke. And I felt like I got enough information from watching it that I wanted to try it. He paints mostly on location. They call that plein air, which means it's a French term for in the open air. He obviously paints at night. He has some things that he thinks about when he paints. He showed a lot of photos and he talked about different things in the beginning. It seems to be a very good DVD. But when he paints the objects that could change on him early on. Like if there are cars and he wants them in the painting, he'll paint the cars. If there's lights that can potentially be turned off, he'll paint those in early on. And then really you have all night to work. I have painted outside at night a few times. I've got a little light that goes on the bill of my hat. Not ideal. I mean, you look up and down, and you want to, ideally, I think it's better if you can get under a light source, like up against a building. I think that's been the most successful way for me, and it's a good argument to have your paints in the same place every time. So when the light isn't good, you know where things are. He showed a lot of photos of neon fluorescent lighting, and it's amazing the difference. Your eye sees it glowing and red, for example. In a photograph, it showed up white. So I don't know if that's always true. So, you know, I don't know how you would paint it from a photograph. The thing I found most interesting, which I'll show you as we go along, is the way he painted the glow around the light source. And he has some set ways he does that. I took a lot of notes. I'll go through this real quick, and you can come back and write some things down. This is his technique summary. Number 1 is to compose. Number 2 is to draw major shapes. Number 3 is to block in your darks. Number 4 is to paint the movable objects, which again, if you're outside painting on location, that's going to be cars, for example. Next is to refine the light source and repaint the sky. After that is illuminated surfaces, refine your drawing, color and value transitions, reflected light. And then lastly is to improve your color, your dark accents, and your bright reflections. So we'll try to do what he did. I went out last night and drove around town, took some pictures. Let me show you some of the ones I got. It was kind of twilight when I started out. This is, some of these obviously wouldn't work. That's a church here in town, but it looks nice. And he was saying one of the things he does sometimes is he'll go out the next night at twilight because it's such a quick time, and he'll brighten the sky maybe to a painting. This is one I took through the windshield. I just liked the way the house glowed. I was trying to find something. Let me show you what he was doing actually. I have it here. This is what he was painting. So I was looking for something along that line with a pole light that was glowing on a house. This is, this is going to be practice. I'm practicing in front of you, so we'll see how it goes. This is another one I took. It's got a lot of foreground, so I'm not sure how it would be in a painting. I've cropped a few of these too. This is the one I'm thinking about doing. This one was out of the car window and a little bit of a ways off, but I really liked it, another view of it. So, oh, one more. Right, I was again out my car window. I mean, that's as simple as it gets, right? It's just all about the light on the building. So maybe what I'm choosing is too complicated, I don't know, but I'm thinking this. All this foliage here I was under a tree, so I don't know that I need that. I'm working on an 8x10. And again, I've made a lot of notes. Trying to think if there's anything else I ought to hit on before we go. Now, most of it we'll do as we go along, I think. So, he did not tone his canvas. He mixed up a big pile of purple. So let's do that. His sky was purple. My sky is lighter because it wasn't completely pitch dark. But I think we're going to, I don't know, we'll just figure it out as we go. So let's, I was thinking rather than all that foliage hanging down, I might just pull my trees up in the background a little higher. So let's kind of sketch in what I see here. It just looks so fun. They were saying, now I guess whether or not it's true, Eric Rhodes, when he introduced him, was saying that the paintings that sell the best are nocturnes at shows. They're very interesting, I'll say that. My pole light comes up in about this area. So I'm going to want to not paint that area when I paint in the sky. One thing that's cool, you know, is even the lines glow. You know, the power lines, whatever they are. It's a cool time of night, isn't it? Twilight, especially. All right, so let's shut up and think about this. And I could have chose something simpler. I obviously have 2 houses in here that I'm looking at. My dog was barking his head off at me. You know, what are you doing out there? Usually when I purchase a DVD, I get all fired up and want to try whatever it is they do, you know. And I don't know, I may purchase this one too, I haven't decided. They're expensive, you know. Nighttime painting's all about, you know, drama. It's that that light source and correct values, obviously. You know, they're exciting. And I haven't done a lot of them, so this may be a total flop. And the grass is glowing. Another thing he talked about was closest to the light source, it's warmer. As it goes away, it gets a little, you know, it's warmest, then it gets a little more toward the red, and blue comes in as it gets further away. So he even thinks about, you know, the objects that are closest to the light source, how it's hitting, like how it hits the ground, like it's going to be warmer here and then get more red and then get cooler out here, of course. Look him up though, his work's pretty cool. Let me spell it for you again. Carl, Bretzke. So Google images and you can look at some of his work. He had one painting I thought was really cute. It was a camper, a little camper, and nighttime, and it was glowing. Again, this is practice, and so I'm not overly concerned. Just trying to figure out where I want things. And again, I've made it a little more complicated for myself by doing two houses. Wait a minute, I've gotten myself mixed up here. It's hard when I never shut up, isn't it? Obviously that's wrong. Over here, which it's kind of undefined, there's a bit of a house showing, kind of cut off by some foliage and a window. There's actually a car there too, but I don't think that really adds anything to the scene. And again, let me see, that light's too low, so let's move it up in relation to the peak of the house. It's more up in here. Okay. So what we're going to do is start out like he did, and we're going to paint the sky purple. As you can see, I'm sketching with purple too. I don't know, it's tricky. It's, I just like trying different stuff, something you haven't done, something challenging. Just kind of looking things over a little bit, and we'll correct them as we go along. So let's start off again, and we'll just paint that sky in. We got to remember to reserve that area where the light is. And we'll be painting the sky a couple times, so, so what we're doing right now is really getting our darks in. And in my photo, it's more twilight than his was. We're just getting on there kind of thinly, I think, for now. Because we'll be doing it again. See, that does look fun. You want to try this? I got it so thin it's running here. And I think what we'll do, these are going to be trees that I'm painting around here. And I'm not sure, because I haven't done this, you know, what's the right and wrong way. And I don't have the same palette that he had either. I'm using my palette. So I think what we'll do, we'll see how this works, to pull it a little toward the green, I'm going to take my purple and I'm going to put some Indian yellow in it. Okay, got to reserve this area. Let's get it a little more toward the green. You know, and I'm painting this way, you're going to have some edges that are really defined from the light, and like this would be a really soft edge here. And, you know, probably a lot of lost edges even. We'll paint over top of that chimney for now. And the colors are varying because I'm continuing to just mix, you know. And I didn't get to see the whole video, so I'm just kind of winging it on some of this, you know. We'll put in our darkest bushes. This bush is catching some light, so from the pole light. And I may be trying this again. Nothing like trying it out on you the first time, right? And even though it's not so dark down here in the foreground, I feel like it should be. You know, it would have been nice to saw the whole video. And you know, and the closer it gets toward this light source, you know, the more green it's going to get, obviously. Surprisingly, a pretty saturated looking green. according to him, the closer to the light, the warmer it is. And then it goes a little more orangey, I think. Ooh, that is really red. I don't know. It's just a block in. We're just getting some paint on here, right? Those feel too high, don't they? And this bush is catching light. And the road over here is much darker. And much lighter over here by the light source. I said I didn't get to see him do a lot of it, but I felt like I got to do maybe enough to... I got to see how he did the light, which I thought was really interesting. I'm going to mix up more purple here because I got a feeling we'll need a lot of that. Okay. Let's move this. Wait a minute. Let's move this over, and maybe I can get my iPad on here. There we go. Can you see? Yep. Can you see the mess I have? Okay, let's play around with that light. I'll show you what he did. I thought that was... Follow the steps here. He took yellow first, and that was in the middle. Okay, then he took orange, which I don't have orange in my palette. We'll make some orange here. And that went around. Okay, then he went then to alizarin. I thought of one thing I forgot too. When he paints the sky, of course we painted trees around our light source, but when he paints the purple sky, the closer he gets to his light source, he dipped into a little cad red light even. But you know, ours is tucked in the trees here. Okay, and after he did that, I don't have a real soft brush, but he took his purple and he blended over this. One thing he said too, which was interesting, you know how you see lights sometimes and they have that like sunburst kind of thing? He said they never look that way to the eye. They look that way when you take a photo of them. The camera lens causes that, in his opinion. Okay, and then, okay, he kind of blended those. Then he took a little green. Oh, wait a minute, let me get the right brush back out here. And I probably should be blending that yellow a little bit too. Let me slow down here. Okay, then he took a little green, which sounds odd, doesn't it? And he put a little green in here. I'm sure he spent a lot of time studying this. Okay, and the last thing he did, then he took pure white and a little bit of yellow. And very thickly hit that. And that's how he paints his. I feel like it ought to be a little bigger. And he said even when he does a sign, you know, that has lettering, he'll do around the sign that same way. So let's keep moving forward, and I don't know what that looks like, and we'll let's get some paint on the houses, and then we'll start redoing everything. Now the trick here will be to keep, get the correct value on these. So I'm just going to do the roof in the purple. It's a black roof, it doesn't matter. And it probably will have lost edges up into the trees. Everything's dark, and I'm sure it would. Okay. Let's start with this part of the house, which it's getting some reflected light, it looks like. It's also kind of a purple, but I'm going to put a little white in my purple. Let's see what that looks like. Getting dark so late now that gosh, it's almost 10 o'clock, I think. I kept riding around waiting for it to get dark last night. We'll do a variation of values, but and this may be a total flop. Of course, if it's too bad, you wouldn't be seeing it. So if you're seeing it, I must have thought it wasn't too bad. Okay, the front of the house is white, and because of the light, which is interesting, there is a shadow here on the house. Pretty cool, really, It's enough light that it's creating some shadows. Now I have to be careful not to get this too light. And actually, it feels lighter on this side to me than it does on this side. So we'll get lighter as we go that way. His rule is, closest to the light sources, the warmest color. As it moves away, it gets a little more red, and then the blue comes in. So we'll try something really warm, but it may be too intense. Let's see. I want to get that value right. It's obviously not like daytime light, you know. I don't think I really care for that. Let's wipe that out. I'm trying to judge it. I went out and plein air painted yesterday and took my new little tool for the first time. I showed you this one other time. You hang it on your neck, has a viewfinder value chart, so you can kind of look through the hole and compare your values, and a color chart hangs on your neck, and it has a little measurements on the band. Another toy. I'm going to look through this and look at values, see if I can kind of judge the value of the house. It's very light, very light. You know, considering we're talking nighttime. And pretty warm too. Gutter looks more green to me for some reason, and it glows a little bit. Three windows on the front of this house. And this, you know, this edge is catching a lot of light, so it's a hard edge. I've got purple on the edge of it, so and then we've gone more purple over here, so I don't know. So it started out warmer, got red introduced, and then some blue introduced. I don't know how I feel about that. Would I have done that if I hadn't heard him say that? Probably not. This still feels like it needs to be brighter to me, looking at the picture. But we can come back and do that. Now, what do we got going underneath there? Hard to see. The scruffy tree goes onto the house. And we'll be painting over all this, and then we'll see how well things read. Like I said, even the lines glow, which is kind of cool. It's amazing, you know, when you go out looking for this stuff, the things you notice. That was one of the things that caught my eye last night, how some of these wires just glow. It's so fun being an artist, and I stop at a traffic light and analyze the color of a house. It's like, how would I mix that? And this pole that comes down here, there's some shadow on it. Some very intense light. And there's places on the house back in here that are catching light too, really bright light. Like I said again, I chose probably to show you what I was trying to show you. It's a pretty complicated scene. There are people that do paintings like this of just sheds with pole lights on them because it's about the lighting, you know. Yeah, this is not normally the way I would approach this at all. You know, and I can see, surprisingly, quite a bit of detail underneath here. Like I can see the door. And I can see shutters on the windows. Okay, where's that pole? 1, 2. One's here. And the fourth one's here. I think what we'll do is we'll quit wasting time messing around so much with this and get a little blocking on the front of this house, and then let's see what we can do with the sky, because that's really what it's about, the sky and the trees. And okay, so the front of this house is green. Kind of an olive green. My daughter called and told me to lock up tight, that they're talking about some protesting in this area where we live. Gosh, and she lives, I don't know, I hope not. Scary time. Poor country, we're just such a mess, aren't we? We just get over the virus and now this is happening. I'm not being super particular here, I'm just trying to get a block in here so we can move on. And there's a dark tree right there I don't have. Looks like a little bush there. And the side of this house actually reads kind of purple too, even though it's probably green. So maybe what we'll do is take our purple and mix a little green in it. So it kind of reads somewhere in between. Let's go a little more purple. And I can see part of a window on the side. This is shadow up here under the porch. Yeah, kind of interesting, you know, with this bright, bright light at nighttime, you even got shadows. And the roof, hard to read. I'm going to put, I think, a little blue in my purple. And again, we'll have to adjust all of these, of course, you know. I can see the roof compared to the background. I can barely see the chimney. They must have like a shade pulled down on this window because, and it might be more interesting to make it look like the light was on and the window was open. Really, I don't know. Some of those things, you know, artistic license, right? And this building way down here that I have a piece of, you know, I don't want it to be important, so that's probably a little dark. But I want to keep it just kind of grayed down and unimportant. Can't really see the roof. It almost, it's funny, it almost feels like a square building, like a mobile home, but I'm sure it isn't. Not in the area where I shot this. But let's just make sure we got paint everywhere before we move on. You know, because we're going to come back and adjust all this. A couple little bushes there. I'm just getting this blocked in so we can move on. Let's get it dark under there. Okay, let's paint that sky again. This should be where we start cleaning things up, right? Back into our purple. And when he did the circles of light around that light, his light was out in the sky and he went over it with the purple. I guess with it being more in the trees and having more of a green look to it, I guess you would go over it with the green. Again, this would probably be a cool video to own if you're interested in Nocturnes, you know, and you don't have to go outside to paint them. You can do some very successful ones if I guess you know what you're doing from photos. I have a friend that just did a beautiful one, and it was a simple scene. I think it was a shed with a pole light, and but she got that really lovely glow. It was really nice. All right, we're going to take a green, mix some of the purple in it, so we want to keep it dark and block in our trees again. And I probably want to stay out of this area where with these rings of light. You know, and if you've got a tree, like that one photo I took, that tree was just glowing, that was catching the light. And that, you know, I guess if you had, well, like this one, this is in the front and it's catching the light. Can we pull them a little more green maybe, so they feel a little more like trees and still feel like night? You know, they're basically the same value as the sky, because I've kept my purple very, very dark like he did. But again, my scene is a little more twilight, so I'm gonna lighten mine up. I'm gonna put a little cobalt and a little white in it. We'll see if this hopefully still feels like nighttime or twilight. But I don't care for it like that. You to see the trees from the sky. Okay, I'm looking around here. I see some things that this should go down more. You know, it's still darker than my picture. And I'm a little concerned about going too light. I also feel like the front of that should be lighter. You know, I always like to incorporate like some of his ideas, but mine too, you know. Still looking at that sky. It's really dark. You know, does it feel like nighttime? It should, I guess, shouldn't it? Okay, let's look at some of the trim on this house. It's almost need a smaller brush, don't I? Or a palette knife. Let's go to a palette knife. Yesterday I was painting outside and it was so windy. So one hand was on the umbrella and one was trying to paint. I worked a while and finally gave up. It made me realize how much I enjoy painting in my car for a reason. It's just calm and that's plein air, you know. Oh, I can barely see. See, that's all catching light. Gotta clean this up. Lighten that up like that. It got chalky. Okay. Let me grab my little liner brush. I know it's a little early for all this stuff, but I'm trying to get in the little light details that I see. See around this window. And then there's a little handrail, and it's catching light. The steps aren't quite as light. Look at that little window. I said it's odd. It's kind of green in the middle. I don't know why, whether that's a blind or what that is. I think it might be because I'm like seeing a little more of an orangey color over here, probably where the light's coming around it. I don't know. You know, it actually could be all orange, really. Right? Open your window. Do we like that? No, I don't. It's a little bit too dull of a color. You know, if your window was glowing, what would it look like? I think it would be much more intense. And then the trim around the window is catching light. I'll be curious if this feels like a nighttime scene when I'm done. bit of a see, that's catching light, so that's a hard edge, believe it or not. Okay. Or then maybe let you watch me do this whole thing. Maybe we'll just get in some of these details that I think are important, and I won't bore you with all of this. Okay, as I'm looking at this, okay, let's get in the light over. And then where this pole comes down, it's mostly lit. And then it kind of goes into shadow up in here. And down toward the bottom. There's these wonderful glowing, I don't know, power lines? Is that what they would be? But they're brightest toward the pole. Not surprising, right? Toward the light, I mean. Piece of one there, and then they basically disappear over into there. And I don't know if there'd be any reason to continue them on. You know, I don't want to, I'd be careful if I push too hard, I'll cut through the canvas, and it'll be white. Then the pole goes on up, but then obviously it gets darker away from the light and darker toward the bottom. And I am going to finish this and put the detail in this. Let's look at, before we leave here, let's look at this again, okay? This in the photo, which it doesn't mean it's realistic, is a very saturated green. And let's try to get the green closest to it, to the light, brighter. And these bushes would be catching that light, right? see, what do we got going on here? Well, remember there was a big bush here and it was catching that light. And then on this side, it's bright too. Would be brightest, closest to the light. And he said, as it moves away, red comes in, which would pull it into orange, right? So that would be as it moves this way too, I would think. And then more blue comes in as it gets further away. And in the road, the same thing, warmest, closest to the light source. Looks very warm to me. I've done that over. And then it's actually not bad. This was then it went kind of purple out here. Okay, now, for me, the sky and those trees are almost the same value. It feels like a glowing nighttime scene. So I would have the option, I could lighten this up more blue like my photo, which again makes it more of a twilight kind of scene. Or I could probably put a bit of green in these trees. I'm really torn what to do. Let's try it, a little bit more green so the trees show up from the sky, and see if I like that. I have to think about it and look at it, and this was some foliage coming over here, and now this is by the light, so this would be lighter. And probably here too. All right, we're going to quit. I think actually, as I look at it, this road should even be darker. Now I'm going to show you the reference, and keep in mind that I did not go really light blue like the sky. I'm not sure I want to. The way I painted it is like it was later and the sky was dark. And I could take it that way and try. My only concern is I don't want to pull it into what looks like a daytime scene. If I take blue and purple. Okay, I'm messing around here. Just seeing maybe what would happen if I went lighter with it. I'm struggling to get it to go lighter. It's going to blend in with the purple. I want it to still feel like nighttime though. I think it does. appreciate you letting me guinea pig on you. And there's some good things about it. You know, I think once we finish this house, I do like how the houses are glowing. Well, let me stand you up and show you. I just didn't see any point in letting you watching me finish that out, because it's not really what it was about. I will have to watch my values. It's been an hour. Show it to you. It's kind of interesting, don't you think? And that's his kind of treatment for the pole light. See? It's kind of a heavy impasto, and then the lines kind of glow. I'll show you the reference again, but again, you can see my sky was really blue there because it was like twilight. And I did brighten it up some, which I think is better. There's a difference now, a value difference between the trees and the sky. Okay, that was fun. I'll keep developing it, and I'll probably wait to post this till I get it finished, and I'll share the reference on Facebook. So find me on Facebook, Barbara Pask Fine Art, and you can see the finished painting. Like and subscribe, please, to my channel if you would, and I'll join you again soon. Bye-bye.